In the heart of a bustling supermarket, the hum of everyday life unfolded in rhythmic harmony. Shoppers moved leisurely between aisles, their carts filled with fresh produce and household essentials, voices mingling in the soft murmur of casual conversation. It was a scene of calm normalcy, families picking up dinner ingredients, elderly couples exchanging smiles, and employees restocking shelves with practiced efficiency. Amid this peaceful backdrop, an FBI agent navigated the aisles with measured purpose. Dressed in a sharp yet understated suit, his demeanor radiated professionalism and quiet confidence. This was no stranger to tension or danger. His daily routine demanded composure, precision, and calm. Today, however, he was simply focused on running routine errands, blending into the crowd like any other shopper. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. Without warning or explanation, a police officer drew his firearm and aimed it directly at the agent. The sharp metallic click echoed in the air, freezing the moment in a wave of shock and disbelief. Bystanders gasped, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Why is he pointing a gun? What just happened?" The agent remained composed, hands visible, trying to understand the sudden aggression directed at him. The tension thickened, charged by an unmistakable undercurrent of racial bias. What should have been a routine moment had spiraled into an alarming display of excessive force and prejudice. The officer's reaction seemed fueled not by facts, but by assumptions rooted in deep-seated stereotypes. But this was not the end of the story. Within minutes, the police chief was informed, arriving swiftly to assess the situation. Recognizing the gravity of the misconduct, the chief acted decisively, firing the officer on the spot. This moment became a powerful statement against abuse of power and racial profiling, echoing far beyond the supermarket walls. This is a story about injustice confronted with courage, about a system challenged from within, and about the urgent need for accountability. It is a reminder that even in moments of tension, leadership can make the difference between perpetuating harm and fostering change. The FBI agent at the center of this incident is a man whose life story reflects dedication, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to justice. Born and raised in a close-knit community, he grew up understanding both the challenges and the possibilities that life presented. From an early age, his parents instilled in him the values of hard work, integrity, and service to others, principles that would guide him throughout his journey. Education was a cornerstone of his path. Excelling academically, he earned a degree in criminal justice from a respected university, followed by rigorous training at the FBI Academy. His ambition was fueled not by personal gain, but by a profound desire to make a meaningful difference in his community and beyond. Entering the FBI was a significant achievement, especially as a black man in an institution historically dominated by white men. This reality meant he had to navigate unique challenges, proving his competence time and again in environments where he was often the minority. Throughout his career, he became known for his professionalism, sharp analytical skills, and deep sense of responsibility. His work ranged from investigating complex cases to collaborating with community leaders to build trust in law enforcement. Despite his position and expertise, the agent was acutely aware of the systemic issues that persisted within law enforcement agencies, including implicit biases that could influence behavior even among those sworn to uphold the law. His experiences as a black federal agent often involved walking a tightrope, maintaining authority and credibility while confronting stereotypes and preconceived notions. There were moments when his race made him hyper-visible in ways unrelated to his role, and other times when it rendered him invisible or underestimated. Yet, he remained steadfast in his mission, believing that representation and integrity were vital in changing the narrative within the system. The day of the supermarket incident was meant to be unremarkable. Like millions of others, he was simply taking care of everyday errands, buying groceries, planning meals, and preparing for the week ahead. There was no indication that a routine visit to a local store would abruptly shift into a moment of intense scrutiny and unwarranted threat. For him, it was a stark reminder that even those dedicated to justice are not immune to the biases embedded in society. Reflecting on the event later, the agent expressed a measured but firm understanding of the broader issues at play. His experience was not just personal. It symbolized the persistent challenges black professionals face in America, including within institutions designed to protect and serve. Despite this, he remains hopeful, believing that moments like these can spark important conversations and reforms. His story serves as both a caution and an inspiration, a testament to the courage required to navigate spaces that are not always welcoming, and the importance of leadership and accountability in confronting injustice wherever it arises. The incident at the supermarket unfolded with a tension that seemed to catch everyone off guard, transforming an ordinary shopping trip into a moment charged with fear and injustice. It began on a typical afternoon when the FBI agent, dressed casually and blending in with the crowd, was making his way through the aisles, selecting everyday essentials. His demeanor was calm, focused on his task, and entirely unremarkable in the setting of a busy store filled with families, shoppers, and employees going about their business. As he approached the checkout line, a uniformed police officer entered the scene. The officer's gaze quickly locked onto the agent, but instead of treating him like any other customer, something in the officer's attitude shifted. There was a moment of hesitation, a tense pause that felt disproportionate to the situation. Without any apparent reason or provocation, the officer stepped forward, his hand moving toward his holstered weapon. Witnesses later described the moment as surreal and chilling. The officer drew his gun and pointed it directly at the agent. This sudden escalation shocked everyone around, turning heads and freezing movement. The agent, although startled, maintained his composure. His training as an FBI agent had prepared him for high-pressure situations, and he knew that any sudden reaction could worsen the circumstances. Instead, he raised his hand slowly and spoke calmly, his voice steady, aiming to de-escalate the confrontation. "Officer, I'm not a threat," he said firmly but respectfully, signaling his intent to cooperate. "I'm an FBI agent, and I'm here peacefully." Despite the agent's clear attempt to defuse the situation, the officer's demeanor grew more aggressive. His grip on the gun tightened, eyes narrowing with suspicion. His actions reflected a disregard for the standard protocols typically followed when identifying oneself or handling a tense encounter. There was no request for identification or attempt to communicate properly before escalating to a potentially deadly response. Instead, the officer seemed to act on instinct, an instinct clouded by bias. Around them, bystanders watched in stunned silence or whispered anxiously. Some reached for their phones, sensing that the situation could spiral out of control. The grocery store employees paused their work, watching with concern as the scene unfolded near the checkout lanes. The tension was palpable. The normal hum of supermarket activity was replaced by a heavy, suffocating stillness. The FBI agent continued to hold his hands in view, maintaining eye contact but not challenging the officer. His voice remained calm, even as adrenaline surged through his body. He emphasized his role as a federal law enforcement officer, hoping that the officer would recognize the authority and the absurdity of the situation. But the police officer's actions betrayed a clear bias. His rapid escalation without cause was a stark example of racial profiling in action. The officer's aggressive posture was not a response to any suspicious behavior by the agent but seemed rooted in prejudice. His failure to follow protocol, his readiness to use force, and his inability to see beyond the agent's skin color reflected deeper systemic problems within law enforcement. Eventually, other officers arrived at the scene, alerted by the commotion and bystanders' calls. Their arrival brought a shift in the atmosphere as the situation was reassessed. The pointing of the gun ceased, and a more professional approach was taken to identify the agent properly. The crowd began to relax slightly but remained uneasy, aware that the incident could have ended tragically. For the FBI agent, the experience was a stark reminder of the challenges faced by black professionals, even those trained to uphold the law. His calm and measured response in the face of unjust aggression was a testament to his resilience and professionalism. But the encounter underscored a painful truth. Racial bias and misuse of authority continue to pose significant threats, even in everyday settings. This incident would soon prompt swift action, but in that moment, the supermarket was a microcosm of a larger societal issue, a place where prejudice collided with power, and where one man's steady courage confronted the unjust fear of another. As the police officer suddenly drew his gun and aimed it at the FBI agent, the reaction from the other shoppers was instantaneous and intense. A wave of fear rippled through the crowd. People froze, unsure whether to flee or stay put, their eyes wide with shock and confusion. Some clutched their children closer, while others instinctively moved behind shelves or display racks, seeking any form of protection from what suddenly felt like a dangerous situation unfolding before them. Whispers and gasps spread among the customers, as they struggled to comprehend why a routine supermarket visit had escalated to this alarming level. Some whispered to each other, questioning the officer's actions, while others tried to stay calm, hoping the situation wouldn't deteriorate further. A few brave shoppers attempted to intervene, not by confronting the officer directly, but by calmly speaking up, reminding the officer that the man was cooperating and posed no threat. Their voices, though quiet and hesitant, echoed the growing sentiment of disbelief and concern in the store. The tension grew thicker until reinforcements arrived. Within minutes, more police officers entered the scene, responding to calls from alarmed witnesses. Their presence escalated the situation visibly, but also brought a sense of order. These backup officers quickly assessed the situation, their approach more measured and professional compared to the initial officer's aggressive behavior. Witnesses later shared their accounts of what had happened, many of which were captured on smartphones by other customers. The footage, when shared on social media, showed the officer's sudden draw of his weapon, the agent's calm demeanor, and the bystanders' visible distress. This visual evidence became crucial in confirming the narrative and exposing the unnecessary escalation. The combination of direct witness testimonies and video clips spread rapidly, fueling public outrage and sparking discussions about racial profiling and police conduct. For those in the supermarket that day, the experience was unforgettable, a powerful reminder of the real, often hidden dangers posed by prejudice and misuse of power in everyday life. When news of the supermarket incident first reached the police chief, it came through multiple channels. Dispatch reports, eyewitness videos flooding social media, and concerned calls from community leaders. The chief was immediately briefed on the details. The unwarranted drawing of a firearm by one of his officers, directed at a calm and cooperative FBI agent simply going about his daily routine. Recognizing the gravity of the situation and the clear evidence of racial misconduct, the chief acted swiftly. Within hours, an internal investigation was launched to gather all facts, interview witnesses, and review the video footage that had gone viral online. The chief was determined that this would not be swept under the rug. Accountability was paramount. As the investigation unfolded, the evidence painted a clear picture of an officer who had not only breached protocol but had acted out of bias and aggression. The chief did not hesitate. He made the decisive call to terminate the officer's employment immediately. This was not just a disciplinary action but a strong message to the force and the community that such behavior would not be tolerated. The police department released an official statement condemning the officer's actions, reaffirming their commitment to fairness, justice, and protecting the rights of all citizens regardless of race. The statement emphasized that the police force stands against any form of racial profiling or misconduct. Within the department, the firing sparked a mixture of reactions. Many officers supported the chief's decision, recognizing the importance of maintaining public trust and the integrity of the force. Some expressed discomfort, acknowledging the need for better training and cultural awareness within the ranks. Public response was overwhelmingly positive, with community leaders, civil rights groups, and ordinary citizens applauding the swift action. The incident, while troubling, became a catalyst for renewed discussions on police reform and accountability, showing how leadership and decisive action can foster hope for change. Racial profiling and misuse of power within law enforcement have long been deeply rooted issues that continue to plague policing institutions across the country. Historically, minorities, especially black communities, have disproportionately been targeted, subjected to excessive force, and treated with suspicion, often without just cause. These patterns are not isolated incidents but reflect systemic problems ingrained over decades, where implicit bias, lack of accountability, and institutional racism have allowed discriminatory practices to persist. Black officers working within these police departments face unique challenges. While they share a commitment to serve and protect, they often navigate a complex environment where their loyalty and integrity are questioned by both colleagues and the communities they serve. Many black officers find themselves caught between upholding departmental culture and advocating against discriminatory practices, sometimes risking their careers to speak out. Holding officers accountable when they misuse power or exhibit racial bias is crucial, not just for justice in individual cases but for restoring public trust in law enforcement. When leadership takes swift and transparent action against misconduct, it sends a clear message that bias and abuse will not be tolerated. This accountability can begin to dismantle the culture of impunity that enables systemic discrimination. Leadership plays a pivotal role in transforming police culture. Chiefs and senior officials who prioritize training on racial sensitivity, implicit bias, and community engagement can foster environments where respect and fairness become core values. Moreover, leaders who are willing to confront uncomfortable truths and implement reforms are essential in driving lasting change. This incident involving the racist officer pointing a gun at a black FBI agent highlights the ongoing struggle between entrenched prejudices and the pursuit of equitable policing. It underscores the urgent need for systemic reforms and courageous leadership committed to justice, equality, and the protection of all citizens without discrimination. This incident serves as a powerful reminder of the courage it takes to confront injustice, even within institutions designed to protect us. The swift action by the police chief to fire the officer shows that accountability is possible when leadership refuses to tolerate abuse of power and racial bias. It demonstrates that change isn't just necessary. It's achievable when individuals in positions of authority make deliberate choices to uphold justice and fairness. For viewers and readers, this story is a call to remain vigilant and actively support efforts for police reform and racial justice. Change requires more than awareness. It demands collective action, whether through advocating for policy changes, supporting community programs, or holding officials accountable. Every voice raised against discrimination and misuse of power contributes to building safer, more equitable communities. Speaking out against injustice, no matter how intimidating, is essential. Silence allows harmful behaviors to persist, but courage empowers transformation. When we stand up, we not only protect ourselves but also pave the way for future generations to live in a world where respect and dignity are universal. Above all, this story is one of hope. It highlights the potential for leadership to break cycles of prejudice and injustice and to foster environments where fairness and respect are the norm. Justice is not a distant ideal. It's something we can build together, starting with courage, accountability, and a shared commitment to change. The power to shape a better future lies within each of us, and it begins with standing firmly for what is right.